Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is the 5th WAD progression update and comes just after I've completed Moonblood and just before I take on Memento Mori. So I just want to take a little bit of time just to go through a review and provide some highlights for my playthrough of Moonblood. And just the bottom line, Moonblood has been absolutely fantastic WAD to play and I really highly recommend it to anybody who's looking to improve their skills. I thought in particular there's just such a beautiful and lovely tapered progression as you move across that WAD that just introduces you slowly to more difficult and complex fights and scenarios. So, you start off with the difficulty of the monsters increasing, then small groups of monsters, then small groups of roaming monsters, then larger groups of monsters, and so on. And it just builds that complexity and challenge as you go in a very, very supportive way to kind of help you develop as you progress. And those, particularly as you get towards the end, the complexity and the overall levels and complexity of the fights become quite tough, but are very manageable. It's very fair in that way. And it is tough from pistol start, but there are weapons, health and ammo provided. And I think particularly some of the maps that could be the hardest are the ones that tend to be the most generous with weapons, ammo and health. So I've really, really enjoyed that part of it. As standard for me personally, in any maps, the most challenging ones for me are any maps that include cyber demons. And in this one as well, there's a custom boss called the Sinner. So the cyber demons and the Sinner are very, very tough because, like all monsters of that type, they get the double whammy of really high health, so it's hard to take them down, and really high DPS, so they can take you down really, really quickly. As with all kind of megawads of this type, there's 32 levels. It takes a bit of perseverance to get through it, but it's a lot of fun. I'm definitely relieved to have completed this, and I've definitely felt my skills have improved over that journey. So there were two maps there in particular I thought would be really, really challenging. So that's E6M3, the Moonblood ritual site, where we have 3 cyber demons in an arena, and that's the second last map of the WAD set. And then the last one, the Repentant Sinner, who's got that really tough custom boss. But I did find good strategies for both of those maps, so if you're interested in that, just look at the associated videos for those maps. Loads and loads of positive highlights in this. This is one where I'm really challenged because I just can't go through all of the maps in this I've enjoyed. I've just really enjoyed them all. But obviously, for WADs of this type where it's building as you move through it, it's just the last episode is the really key episode of the whole thing. It's just a beautiful, beautiful episode. But before I get on to that, the very last one of the very last map of episode 5, so E5M6, the Colosseum, I just couldn't leave it out. It's just a brilliant, fun, fast-paced map. It's got a kind of open theme with a central area and then lots of little areas kind of running off it. And there's so many varied and wonderful encounters in that map as you progress through it. And you can progress through it in so many different ways. It's fun and new every time I play it. And I really enjoyed it, particularly the Revenant encounters and Archvile encounters and that were really, really good practice for me. But then as we get into episode 6, E6M1 Magma Refinery, loads and loads of archviles now. I think there's 14 archviles in the end. A beautiful layout for that map, lots of interesting routing around it. But in particular, there's a number of really key kind of archvile encounters with multiple archviles at the same time, roaming around areas where they're resurrecting things, and you need to be very careful about your prioritization. And I really enjoyed that, and I really built a lot of confidence and a lot of skill around dealing with archviles. Much, much more confident than I have been in the past, so I really enjoyed that. E6M2, Remains of Zeta Labs. We get the archviles early on, which is fine. Then we get out of that area, and those archviles are tough to deal with because you don't have loads of BFG shots or things you can rely on. You're shotgunning them. Then we get into a cyber demon fight in an arena, small arena. That was good fun. And then when we pass that, you've got a path on the right, a path on the left, and then when you complete each, you can get into the final area. But those are really tough. So a lot of very, very tough, varied encounters in that. But lots of health, lots of ammo, and lots of fun. So highly recommend that one. Then E6M3, Moonblood ritual sites. In that map we get the three cyber demons in the arena. I just cannot take that one head on. I just don't have the skills to deal with 3 cyber demons at the same time. But I've got a nice strategy for that to get out. But even if you take that part out of that map, all of the rest of the build-up and the flow around that map and the varied encounters you get are just really, really enjoyable and fun. Lots of like hordes of roaming revenants, dealing with archviles when you're in nukage or you're on a radiation suit that's timing out and you need to be moving really quickly. Just so much fun in that map. Highly recommend it. And then E6M4, the final one, the Repentant Sinner. Very, very tough final encounter with this boss called the Sinner, but Really enjoyable because it's quite a short, punchy map, so it's quite quick to get to that final arena and then take on that map. So even if you die, it's not like you're churning through another half hour of gameplay to get back to the fight again. So really enjoyed that and getting through that one in particular. And again, those last two ones, I've got good strategies to help through those. So if you're struggling with it, do have a look at the videos. And then I didn't want to finish without mentioning the second secret map. So Archives Iron Keep. I just loved it. It's just a brilliant map. So many interesting fights in that, and in particular taking on two cyber demons at different, who are kind of located at different parts of the same arena. And you've got a plasma rifle, so it's going to take you a long time to take one down. You're focusing on one, you're moving around it trying to avoid it, while also trying to avoid the rockets coming from the second one. And just working the whole way through that map. Lots of different encounters in that map that are just so much fun and lots, like, quite challenging as well in different ways. But again, there is ammo and there is health to kind of pick you up. So you can learn a lot by kind of working your way through some levels of that type. So overall, like I said at the start, I think the WAD can be tough, but there's such a great balance across the WAD to allow you to slowly build in the difficulty and complexity of the encounters that you take on. And I'd really highly recommend this for anybody who's looking to develop their skills like me. This is my standard snapshot that tracks my progress as I work through all of these different WADs. It's one you'll be familiar with, but there's some updates that you can see. So firstly, we've got a tick mark against Moonblood, indicating that this WAD has now been completed. We've got a bullseye or a target against Memento Mori, indicating that that's the current WAD that I'm working through right now. And then we've got a question mark against Plutonia, or the Plutonia experiment, indicating that that's the next WAD that I'm expecting to take on once Memento Mori is complete. You'll also see here that I've put a question mark against Doom, or some of the original ones. And my thinking there is just for a little bit of fun, I've decided that as a little bit of a kind of palette cleanser between some of the maps of these big difficult WAD sets, I'll go back and have a bit of a fun run through some of the original easier versions of Doom. So Doom, Doom 2 and TNT Evolution, and just add those in just for a bit of fun, as a bit of completionism, to get those onto the channel as well. So I'll be uploading those as I go, but my main focus and my big next one to take on is going to be Memento Mori. So if we have a quick jump to the website, to the DoomWiki, to have a look at that, we see here we have Memento Mori. It's mm.wad. It was released in 1995 as a megawad with 32 new maps or levels, and it's got a whole host of different authors that have contributed both to the music and the design of the maps for this, but mainly led by Dennis and Thomas Muller. But also including Thomas Dane and Dario and Milo Casali. I mean, we know the Casalis from Plutonia as well, which we'll get to soon. Okay, this was released in 1995 originally, with an update in 1996. And you can see if you look down here as well, this has been voted the top WAD, number one in the top 100 WADs of all time in 1996. So it's got a good pedigree, should be some really good fun in this. And just to say as well that the soundtrack in this has been developed by Mark Glenn. So I'll be playing that throughout, and that's mmmus.wad. So I'll have that. So Memento Mori music.wad. I'll be using that throughout the gameplay footage that I record. And just because the maps have got so many different contributors to it as well, I'll make an effort to make sure I include the names of the specific WAD designers or map designers as I work my way through. So if you scroll down here a little bit, just to have a quick look, you can see here we've got 32 levels, lots of different authors, as I've said, and we've got the musical soundtrack here. So it's going to be fun, going to be lots and lots of work to work my way through this. And if we hop over to my ugly Excel sheet, we'll see here that this is the standard layout. We've got the WAD details, software and settings here, and then just general housekeeping for me to keep an eye on my channel. This is the Moonblood one, so you can see this is a whole lot of work that we've just completed, which is great. But now we've got this monster in here now, which is Memento Mori. So we've got the Memento Mori WAD and the music WAD. We'll be playing through those. I'll be playing through the updated version. And you can see here we've got the 32 maps, and I've got my map notes here. There are quite a few map notes in this, so I think one of the main drivers for that is the fact that Memento Mori was kind of developed for multiplayer or co-op playing modes. So as a consequence of that, there are lots of oddities when you're playing in single player, where there's some sections that you can't access, or like kills you can't access or secrets you can't access, because they were developed for multiplayer mode, but when you play it single, you just can't get to them. So I'll be bringing those out as we go. When you look at the monster counts, they're getting pretty heavy in places. We're up to, this is I think the heaviest level, map 15. We've got 340 odd monsters in it. And also some of the secrets. Some of these maps have got very, very large numbers of secrets. So I don't know if they're, like you've seen in some of the other Doom WAD sets, if they're all kind of co-located to different steps on a stairs or something. But if that's 16 independent secrets that need to be found, it's going to get pretty tricky in places. And there are a good few non-official secrets. So, kind of hidden areas you can get to at megaspheres or mega armors or things like that, but aren't officially tagged as secrets. So I'll be trying to find those as well where it makes sense to help myself work through it. Hopping over here to software and settings, standard settings for PR Boom Plus that I've used throughout my other playthroughs. But in the specific settings, particularly the comp level, we're using comp level 2 here to play through these. So make sure you've got the right comp level setting on here. Comp level 2 is the standard one for Memento Mori. And then standard for our ZDL launcher as well. And then we'll go over to channel tracking. You can see I've just started the process of starting to play through some of these, but and I've just uploaded the first one to the channel. So that's where I am in terms of those. But please do keep an eye out for them. When I add these up to the channel, I'll be adding in my standard thumbnail. It looks like this. You'll be familiar with this kind of layout. It's got the WAD title up here, Memento Mori. It's got the map identifier here, and it's got the map name. And then over on the other side, it's got the Memento Mori logo here, just indicating that this thumbnail forms part of that Memento Mori series. So I'm really looking forward to this. Hope you guys are too. Thanks very much for listening, and I'll talk to you in the next one.